Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. My name is Fame9 and welcome to my FIFA Mobile card design tutorial. So today I'll be teaching you how to create a cool design with using Photoshop. I'm currently using the latest version of Photoshop, which is Photoshop CC 2017, but this tutorial will work with any version of Photoshop. Of course, you won't be able to design this on your Android or your phone before I get any of those comments. And if you do not have Photoshop, or you can't afford it, or you don't want to get it for whatever reason, go ahead and get Gimp. It is a free open source program. It is really awesome. That's how I got started on graphic design, and it can support PSD files. So before we even start, the first thing I want you to do is download my FIFA 18 mobile template. This is my card design template. It is a high resolution. It is, as you see, 720 by 932. It's a better resolution than what you'll find on most other card design templates. And also I have presetted for you the card details, which you can edit, a folder with a mask for your players, and then a folder for your background, and of course the actual card. So with that being said, you also need to download the following resources, which I'll also have down in the description below. Everything will be in one zip file, which will be this blur background and these particles, which will be in a PNG. So once you download all of those, I'd also like you to get some FIFA 17 brushes. You can get those from FIFA 17 graphics packs. Ones I will recommend is the FIFA 17 graphics pack from Rec Designs. That will also be in the description down below. And once you have all that ready, we're going to begin the tutorial. Alright, so for the first step, I want you to select this folder called background. Make sure the arrow is pointing down, then press new layer. This will create a new layer right directly in the folder, and we're just going to rename it background color. And we're going to set it to this blue color that I already have, and I'll press Alt backspace. If you want to know what the color is, it is following HTML code 15B0F3. And once we have that done, we're going to import in our background. So right now I have open already the blur background in my Photoshop. You can either just drag it from your folder onto Photoshop, or you can do it like this, whatever way you want. But I already have it open. I'm gonna press Control A to select the entire image, and Control C to copy it. I'm gonna go back to Photoshop, make sure I'm still in the background layer, and I'm gonna press Control V, so that's already in the folder. I'm gonna drag the background color right over our blurred image, and I'm going to press soft light for our layer style. I believe it's called layer style. And we have this little cool background. And I'm just going to hide the card details and players, and I'm going to change the fill to 75%. And that's what we have so far. Alright, so now we're going to do our brushes. So we're going to create a new layer, and we're going to name this one Thick Brush. Just for no reason at all. You don't have to name the layers. So make sure you have downloaded the FIFA 17 brushes, because this is the step that will require them. So we're going to be using this brush right here. This one is one with 3 bars, with a thick one and 2 thin ones to the side. We resized it to 1200. The original size should be, I believe, 1280 or something like that. I'm not too sure. Make sure the color is white, and then the flow is 100%. And we're going to just draw it to the side here. And sorry, I forgot to hide these. And make sure it's like that, and then you're going to want to press edit, transform, and flip horizontal. Now we're going to want to delete this lower part bar because we don't really want it, so we're going to press W on our keyboard, or we're just going to go to the magic wand tool. Yours might be the quick selection tool, so just right click it and go to the magic wand, and then just left click, make sure you're still in the layer, and click that one, and then press delete on your keyboard. And we're just going to move it down to around here, and then we're going to change the fill to 50%. Now we're going to create a new layer, and we're going to go back to the brush tool, but this time we're going to be using a different brush, which is this sidebar right here. It is a parallelogram. This is also within the FIFA 17 brush pack. And you're just going to want to size it to around 1200, and make sure you rotate it. So you see this little circle thing, we're just going to rotate it so that it is 90 degrees down, so that way it is parallel with the other brush. So on this new layer, we're going to draw it on the sides, one there, and then we're going to go really thick to around 1800, and we're going to draw one there, And then we're going to go really thick to 2000. Oops, 2000. We're going to go to the bottom and draw one around there. And then we're going to go super thick to 3000 and draw one on the top like that. Now you may notice these brushes aren't actually in the other brush, and it could be really annoying that it'll overlay some of the blue background. We don't want that, so we're going to hold control and click the other layer's thumbnail so we get the selection. We're going to make sure we're selected on this brush layer, and we're going to press on the layer mask to create a layer mask, so therefore it doesn't bleed onto our other background. So now we have that. We're just going to change the fill to 20%, just so that you get that small overlay feel to it. And then we're going to go back to this thick brush, and we're just change the color we want to whatever we want, and I'm going to go and choose a yellow. And that is all she wrote. If you didn't catch the little text on the screen, I actually meant to say 8% fill for this brush layer, so it should look more transparent on the other layer. So now we're going to add in a basic lighting overlay. So we're going to click new layer once more. We're going to select the gradient tool or G on your keyboard, and if it's a paint bucket, just again hold right click and select the gradient tool. You're going to want to select your black to white, and then make sure you press this reverse, so therefore it's white to black, and then just click from the top, hold shift and drag down to around the middle of the sidebar so that you get this. Now it's covering your entire thing. You're thinking, Fabian, this really just undid everything. How is this lighting? Well, you're not done. Just click on the layer style and make sure you press overlay, and therefore you get this nice shadow here and this bright light here. Now if you don't like how it looks right now, you can always override it. So I don't really like how it's really dark on the side here, so I'm going to just do it again, but this time I'm going to drag farther so that we get more of just a little shadow here rather than it being really dark. So if you want to see what that looks like, this is what we look like. We have more of a gray rather than a black. The black is in this tiny little corner, but it's a lot of light shining down. So make sure it's on overlay. On the final step for the background, and now we'll be using these particles. So like I said before, you can either drag it on or import, whatever you want, but I just opened it in Photoshop. I'm going to press Ctrl A and select these particles, and I'm going to copy and paste them in. I'm going to drag them so that a majority of them are at the top, because that's where we want them. So I'm going to drag them around here. So next we're going to want to add in a layer mask, and make sure you select the brush tool again. But this time we're going to want to go for a circle. Make sure the hardness is 0 and the size is going to be around 200. So we have this size layer. Now go into flow and make sure it is 10%, and then just start painting. So you want these particles at the bottom. I'm painting on white. Make sure you're painting on black. Make sure these particles are barely visible. You don't want any star particles in your shadow. And as they're closer to the light, you want them to be less transparent, more visible. So the ones in the shadow, you want to make them as transparent but just barely visible as possible. Same with these guys. And if you did it too dark, just switch to white, draw it back. It's very simple. And once you're done with that, you're pretty much done in your background. You've got this sick, nice looking background. And let's look at our player and our rating. But you're going to notice something. You can barely see this 86 left mid and your badge, which is very, very important to see. So we're going to hide the background this time, hide the player, and hide the card details. We're going to select our card. I'm going to zoom in, and we're going to want to extract this little rectangular part. So we're going to select the rectangle marquee tool. You can either press it or press M on your keyboard, and then we're going to select it. Try and be as precise as possible, and select it to round up here because this is a rectangle. So make sure you have it selected up to that little pink part, and there you go. But you're not done yet. Now you want to go to the lasso tool. I'm going to go to the polygonal lasso tool, and make sure you're on add select, and then just add in this little curve part as best as you can, and then draw up to here and draw down, and then press Control to connect it. And you're going to notice this isn't straight, this isn't a rectangle. That is perfectly fine, you're not perfect. So now select the remove selection part of the polygonal lasso tool, and we're just going to make it as straight as possible, So make sure your line's straight, and then we're just going to deselect all the excess, and now we have this. So make sure your card layer is still selected, and then on your keyboard press Ctrl J, and then drag this right under card right about in your backgrounds layer, and we're going to view everything. So now you have this, but it doesn't fit in, right? It's really ugly. So we're going to select that layer, we're going to go to image, adjustment, hue and saturation, and we're going to just go to a hue about blue. So I like this blue, so I'm going to -50, I'm going to saturate it up to 20, and I'm going to go to lightness to -10. I'm going to press OK. I'm going to change the fill to a bit lower, to around 80%, 85%, how I like it. But you're also going to notice you can barely see the edge of that 6. That's pretty important, you know. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a new layer, drag it under that bar, and go to your brush tool, select black, make sure your flow is still 10%. We're going to make it a bit bigger, hardness still 0, and we're just going to draw a little shadow under it, and just change the fill a bit to around 68%, just so that there's a little shadow so that you can actually see the 6. And there you go, you created your card design, you created your background. There's one extra step to do, and that is going to be changing the color of the frame. And we're going to select the frame, go to image, adjustments, hue and saturation, and we're going to go to a dark blue. We're going to change the lighting to really, really dark, and I'm going to press OK. And that's it, we're done. But I'm going to do one more thing just to touch up. I want to see Alexis Sanchez's lower body, so I'm going to select on the layer mask, and I'm going to holding control, and I'm clicking the other layer mask to get that selection. I'm going to go back to the brush tool, I'm going to select black. I still have my 10% and my brush. I'm just going to paint it on white, and just to view him, just get a bit transparent, a little shadow there, and that is all she wrote. That is the tutorial. I hope you guys learned something. If you do want some more tutorials, make sure you tell me in the comments below and leave a like. And if you have any questions, be sure to leave a comment. Hopefully someone else can answer it, or if not, I'll answer it myself. And if you have any suggestions on what you like to learn in terms of Photoshop, maybe effect I used on my previous graphic designs, then feel free to comment them below saying, hey Feynman, on your top transfer design, there's this laser that you did. Can you teach us how to do that? I'll gladly teach you guys. I love making these types of videos. And yeah. So if you did enjoy, make sure you leave a like, and if you aren't subscribed, it'd be highly appreciated if you click that subscribe button. I'm trying to grow out my channel here, and every person that subscribes really helps me out. So that's all for the video. Hope you guys enjoyed once again, and I'll see you guys in the next one. So long, take care, bye bye.